Hi, everyone. I hope all is well. I hope everyone's staying safe and healthy. Happy Earth Day. It's a beautiful day outside and the sun is shining. I hope that everyone's enjoying the day safely indoors. So, today we're going to talk about how to create a persuasive speech. So, I know in class we talked about the three different modes that we use when giving a speech, which are to persuade, to inform, or to entertain. And obviously, today we're going to talk about the persuasive aspect of that. So, let's get started. All right. So, just to kind of clarify the difference between an informative and a persuasive speech. So, an informative speech teaches the audience about a subject and it shares knowledge. So, it's giving the audience information about a subject. When you think of how-to videos or tutorials, those are examples of informative speech. Now, a persuasive speech, which is what we're talking about today, is created to change the perspective of the audience. So by the end of the speech, you want to have the audience come out with a different point of view. So you're going from one point to another. So you're trying to change their minds about a particular subject. And as you can see here, I've done a meme just for fun. So you have someone saying, I want all the information for the informative, and then I can be quite persuasive for the persuasive speech. All right, so preparing your persuasive speech. So kind of like what we talked about last week when we were working with the writing, the playwriting portion, we want to keep that in mind when we're creating our speech too, with objectives. So what is your objective? So what do you want from your audience? And how do you want their perspective to change by the end of the speech? So you want to be really clear about what you want from them and how you want them to feel and what you want them to do, right? What action do you want them to take by the end of the speech? Okay. So there are three techniques that we want to keep in mind and use when creating our persuasive speech. And we discussed a little bit of this in a previous class, talking about pathos, logos, and ethos. So pathos is you're appealing to your audience through your emotion, right? So you're tugging at their heartstrings. You're finding some sort of emotional way in and trying to connect the audience to it from an emotional space. Logos is the appeal to the audience using logic, reason, facts, data, statistics, like what are the receipts saying? That's logos. And then ethos is the appeal to the audience by providing credibility. So you want to make sure that you're trustworthy with this. Like, why should the audience trust you? Have you researched the area? Do you have a degree in the area? What ethically is your appeal to this? Where's your credibility here? So with ethos, you're saying, I have the credibility to do this, and here's why, right? So you want to make sure that you can be trusted. So we're using those three techniques in this persuasive speech to help support our argument. All right, and as you can see here, is this a diagram to further explain that? So in the art of persuasion, you're gonna use the ethos, the trustworthiness, the authority, the pathos, so emotions, beliefs, and then logos, right? Logic, reasoning, facts. Where are the facts? That's where logos comes into play. So these are all a part of the art of persuasion and can help you to really have a strong persuasive speech. All right, so I'm just going to give you all some examples of pathos, logos, and ethos. So pathos, an example might be, you'll make the right decision because you have something that many people do. You have a heart, right? So that could be for a donation. So it's like, this is a donation for a worthy cause. And because you have such a great heart and you have compassion for others, you're going to make the right decision. So you might be like, oh man, yeah, I really have empathy for, this person or the situation or whatever they're going through. I'm going to make a donation because this person has really hit me emotionally. You know, when you see those commercials for like the ASPCA, and you see the dogs and they're like in these cages and they're crying and they're like shivering and things like that. That could be an example of pathos, where you're getting kind of emotionally involved in it because you see these dogs or animals suffering and you're like, yes, of course I'll make a donation. I don't want to see these animals suffering. I want them to have what they need and find good homes. So that's an example of pathos, where they're getting to you in that way. All right, logos. All right, so logic. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we not only have the fingerprints, the lack of an alibi, a clear motive, and an express desire to commit the robbery. We also have video of the suspect breaking in. This case could not be more open and shut. All right. So they have all of these facts and evidence to support their argument there, and they have video. So it's like logically, like this person did it, right? We have the receipts right here. So they're using logos in that argument. And then ethos, right? So ethos is that ethical support, like, right? So why should I support this person or this argument? So the example of ethos is, if you're still unsure, please consider that my advanced degree and field work speak for themselves, right? So this person has a degree in the area of whatever area they're talking about. So it's like, you know, I've researched this, I've studied this, I went to school for this, I am credible because I know what I'm talking about, right? So you want to make sure you grab your audience with that by letting them know that you have done the work to speak on this area, speak about this area. All right, so now we're going to get into the speech outline. So the first thing that you want to consider is your audience. So who is your audience? Is it a group of young people or the adults? Where is this taking place? Is this taking place at school? Is this taking place in your neighborhood? Like, who is your audience? Who are you talking to? And that will help you to solidify your objective. All right. And then once you figure that out, as you start to carve out your outline for your persuasive speech, you want to get into the intro where you're presenting the problem. This is the issue, right? So with a persuasive speech, you're always presenting a problem at hand that you have a solution to, right? So your body part of the speech will be you presenting that solution with the supportive evidence using pathos, logos, and ethos. So you're really going to get into the nitty-gritty in your body part of the speech, where you have facts and statistics and quotes that support your argument, right? And that are helping you to further prove to your audience why they should trust you, why they should believe you. All right. And then you have your conclusion, where you present the benefits of the solution, right? So you have problem, solution, benefits. That's another way to look at a persuasive argument. You're presenting the problem, the solution, and the benefits of that solution, right? So you're not only saying this is an issue, right? But you're coming up with ways to solve that, right? Okay, so we're gonna break it down bit by bit, and we're gonna start with the introduction. So with the intro, you want a hook. And this is something to get the attention of your audience, an attention grabber. In writing or literature, they might call it an attention grabber. And so you're emphasizing the problem here. So it might be through a video or a photo or a quote that shows the problem in like a jarring way. For example, if it's about texting and driving, you might have a video of a car accident or a photo of a car accident where it's like, this is a result of somebody texting and driving. This is a major problem. And that gets the attention of your audience because they're like, whoa, like that's terrifying. Like, tell me more. Like, what's the problem and how do we solve it? So you're trying to find something that really gets the audience hooked into your topic. And then you're going to make the connection to the audience. Like, what does it have to do with them? Why should they care? Maybe it's like, so if we're using the example of, you know, texting and driving, it might be like, how would you feel if this was somebody that you cared about? Or how would you feel if you were involved in this, right? So you're trying to connect the audience to that. Imagine if it's somebody that you cared about was involved in this. How would you feel, right? And that's where the pathos kind of comes in, all right? And then your thesis, right? What is your main argument? So I did an example thesis here. So students need wellness programming in schools to improve mental and physical health and academic performance. That's my thesis. That's what I'm arguing, right? And so the problem, which I'll show in another slide, would be that the students are not doing well in school, or they're poorly performing, and they're not being able to be present in school because they don't have the tools that they need. And this is a serious issue, right? So this is what I'm proposing in my thesis. And then you establish your ethos. So like if I'm furthering that example using the ethos, I would say, I've researched this area, or I'm a licensed therapist or wellness instructor. So I know what I'm talking about. I know the benefits of wellness, right? And how they impact students because I've studied this, right? Okay, and then your preview. In your preview, you're just gonna let them know, in this speech, I will be discussing the issue, the solution, and the benefits of that solution, all right? Okay, so moving along to the body part. So body, you want to talk about the problem. So if I'm furthering this example, the problem is students are finding it difficult to focus with long school hours and no time for self-care. This is a serious issue. So my hook might show a student on their desk with their head down, looking really tired or discouraged and just really struggling to get through the day. That might be my hook. Like, look at this student. Look at how sad they are. Look at how difficult it is for them to stay awake in class, right? So I'm hooking them with that, and I'm showing the problem. So the solution would be presenting wellness activities in the curriculum for students, such as yoga, meditation, art therapy. So things that will engage the students on a different level, right? So that's what I'm proposing as my solution. And then the benefits would be that students feel better, they will do better in school, they'll have more focus and discipline, and they will be able to communicate their needs effectively, right? So it's an all-around win for students, right? So if the students do better, then the communities do better, right? That could be my benefits part. And then the supporting detail, of course, always, always, always would be statistics, facts, and quotes that align with my argument to support it. So I have to come with the facts to support that, right? All right, and then that leads me to the next part of it, which is finding reputable sources. So you don't want to go on Wikipedia to look for resources for a persuasive speech, or any speech for that matter, or even a research paper. Do not do that. You want to find reputable sources. So you want to find organizations who have been doing the research and the work in this particular area that can really help to bump up your argument. So I have an example here of the National Education Association, and this is just an article that says good health is key to student learning, right? So I might use that and use statistics and facts from that article to support my argument about wellness and students needing that in the classroom. And then I have one from the Art Therapy Association, right? And it says, an expert on school-based art therapy explains how art therapy helps children make sense of the insensible. Right? So I'm using organizations and places that have done the research with experts in the field that have the data that I need to support my argument. So you always want to find places that are doing the work. Just think, when you're looking for resources, who is doing the work now that aligns with my solution, and go from there. And then your conclusion. So your conclusion is your key takeaway. You would reiterate your thesis, right? And then a call to action. You want to give your audience something that they can do about it today. So let's say, for the argument that students need wellness in schools, let's say the call to action would be, call your school board and see if they can implement some sort of wellness in their curriculum, or parents chip in and see if they can start an after-school program for students to take a yoga class, maybe to start with one program. Advocate with your school principal or your school board for more programming, right? So that could be a call to action. Or start with wellness at home, right? So let's say I was talking to parents. You could start with wellness, implementing wellness activities at home, and then advocate for it in your schools, right? And then the clincher is a story or statistic that echoes your hook, right? So you want to find something that is kind of like a wrap up. So in conclusion, wellness in schools lead to students living better lives inside, outside of the schools, and being better citizens of their community or society, right? That's a clincher, something that really lands it and wraps it up in a nice way, but connects it to the hook. All right, so this is just the outline overview. So let's say you were trying to write out your speech outline before you begin as you're preparing it. So you want to, every time you are preparing a speech, you want to make sure that you get it down on paper first, of course. Always, always, always get it down on paper. Of course, then we would work on what parts of the speech you memorize and when you make eye contact with the audience, but you always, always, always want to have an outline so you know where you're going, and it makes it so much easier. It keeps all of that scattered energy away because you're putting it down somewhere and you have a direction, a road, like a map. All right, so we have the intro, we have our hook, that thing that gets the audience attention. And then you want to connect to the audience using pathos, right? Your thesis, what is your main argument here? And then your ethos, why should we trust you? Where is your credibility, excuse me. And then a preview, what will you be discussing? The problem, the solution, and the benefit, right? Your body, so you have the problem, right? And then you have supporting facts and details about that problem, right? So that's with the data, the quotes, and statistics. Then your solution, supporting facts and details, more data, quotes, statistics that support why the solution is effective. And then you have the benefits, supporting facts and details and quotes about that. To let your audience know, okay, this has proven to work in this area, and these are the benefits, and here is the data to support that, right? In a study, we've seen that wellness in school has helped students and increased test scores by whatever percent, right? How many ever percent, a specific number, of course. And then you have the data to support that, right? And then your conclusion, your key takeaway, your call to action, what do you want the audience to do about it, right? And then your clincher, what are you leaving, how are you wrapping it up, but still kind of connecting it to the beginning, but how are you wrapping the argument up? What's the ultimate thing that you want to take away from this? So this is basically the beginnings of how to create a persuasive argument and speech. I hope that it was helpful for you. If you have any questions or concerns, or you would like to show me an outline, feel free to let me know. Feel free to share it with me, and I will talk to you all soon. Take care.